Great. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Information Technology. Today is the 1st of April, and on our list of objectives for today, I'd like you to take you through to pnet.co.za, because on Monday, some of you had mentioned that you hadn't found gainful employment. I'd also like to talk to you a little bit more about ERPs. I have a PowerPoint presentation which I uploaded to the chat. This was about half an hour ago. And I'm also going to do a demonstration. I'm going to try to do a live web trader account with you guys. This is with Standard Bank, because this is a computer business application. I want you to be able to learn how to buy and sell shares online. So that's an ER, that's a business process. That's a practical aspect to what we are doing. All right, so let me share my screen. And the first thing I would like to show you is the, like I mentioned to you, PNet. I'm going to take you through to that site. I kept my sites open. Right, so some of you had mentioned that you want to find employment. Please log the link as well. So what job am I looking for? I'm looking for an internal auditor. Right? Let's see if they have an internal auditor, right? And let's say, let's look for a job and if they have anything available. And you can try it out. Go ahead, create a login, there we go. A group of companies, there's one out there. They found 2,345 jobs for the selected criteria. Look at that, internal, Johannesburg, Centurion, Johannesburg. Mr. Naya, are you there? Clinton?
I am.
Yes, before the lecture could start, you and I were talking, discussing, and I told you, you need to move out of the province. There we go, proof, Johannesburg. You're looking for a position, internal auditor, right? So hopefully that'll help you guys. And like I said, my task is not just to teach you the qualification. I want you to be gainfully employed, because I want you to pay tax just like me and just like Dr. Mudley out there, right? And we pay a hell of a lot of tax. Okay, so I'm going to close that. That's PNet. Then the other thing I did was I gave you a set of questions. And my set of questions in the chat are meeting details. That's just to see whether you have actually read through the PowerPoint presentation of chapter 1 that I given you yesterday. All right, so if I go to meeting details, in the chat, it would have said meeting chat. These are my objectives. Name the main functional areas of operation used in a business. Differentiate between a business process and a business function. In fact, today I'm going to do an actual business process. Hopefully we get that done in real lifetime. Identify the kinds of data in each functional area or procedure. And I'm going to take you, hopefully, when I first learned that I'm going to be doing information technology to postgraduate students, I said I have to learn to do online shares, Forex, and what's the Dow Jones. I always hear this on TV. And I discovered that as a Standard Bank user, I have access to that. In fact, you as well will have access to it. So that's a business area or a functional area that I'd like to take you through. Identify the kinds of data in each functional area. If I need to make a decision to buy or sell stock, I need to be able to make an intelligent behavior, not just yes, right? Very often with the stock market, I learned that if the president has to say something, or if the finance minister has to change, the stock changes. You would have learned in...
Can I interrupt for a minute?
Yes, please do.
No, we can see your email inbox on screen. So I'm not sure if you want to...
Oh, no, that's not right.
Sorry.
No, I don't want y'all to see that. No. Thank you very much, sir. I should stop sharing content. I wouldn't want you to see my email because I get lots and lots of email. And maybe it's confidential email too. I beg your pardon, sir?
Fortunately, we just saw the goodbye from Mary Pete. Says goodbye or something to that effect. Nothing critical.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's say it says, oh, goodbye, good day from Mary Pete. Okay. All right, that's okay. Let me go on. Thank you, sir. Please feel free anytime. I don't mind if you all, we have a small group of students where I have another class of 103 students. I actually learned a setting where you can deliberately mute participants so they don't have access to unmute. In fact, I tried the other day with you guys. It worked as well. So if you look at the meeting chat, it says, quick quiz. What are activities specific to that functional area of operation? 2, I've got A or AN includes the people, procedures, software, and computers that store, organize, analyze, and deliver data. So this is our way. If I had to have a face-to-face lecture with you guys, I would have asked you a question and we could have discussed what happened yesterday and the day before. Another question, information systems that are designed so functional areas share data are called. Now, all these answers are in our notes that I had given you yesterday and the day before. If you as a postgraduate student, you're unable to answer these questions, then you need to have done some reading beforehand. Now, the video that I played to you earlier on was actually from the very first lecture that I spoke to you about a research journal. I attended Dr. Mudley's lecture this morning, and in my diary, I wrote down what's a Ponzi scheme. And I actually did not know it was named after a particular businessman that, when I say he kind of swindled his shareholders and he made some money out of it. So that was my little note in my diary, literally my diary when I wrote down 8 o'clock in the morning, that's what I heard. And if I wanted to have learned more about that, then I have a record of what and how it was, what was said. I could at the same time now become more aware of this so-called Ponzi scheme that had happened. So I want you to become critical and analytical learners and students, okay? So these are questions that I'd appreciate if you could answer. Very soon, I will introduce you to online testing and something called Mentimeter, where while you and I are having this lecture, yes.
So where can I find those questions? Because I cannot find them.
It's on the meeting chat.
Meeting chat?
Yes.
It's not there.
Okay, I'm going to copy. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to copy and paste it.
Okay.
Are you able to see it now? Hello?
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, great. So as a teacher, I would have posed these questions to find out whether you had done any reading beforehand. Now, as you're going along, we've got about, say 12 to about 15 weeks, you'll get to know my rules and regulations as a teacher. I like to call myself a facilitator, not necessarily a lecturer. If this was a face-to-face lecture, I would have given you my rules. Number one of the rules would be to have been punctual at my lecture. If lecture is 1 o'clock, I make sure at 10 to 1 I am getting ready so that I'm there at 1 o'clock. I would have told you another rule would have been no cell phone. Switch your cell phone off. In fact, very often a call would come to me and on my cell phone, and I will cut the call in front of you. Unless, of course, it's your wife or your mother. Those are the only two exceptions that I make. Anybody, any of my students are married out here? You have to take a call from your wife? Nobody. Okay, that's great. So another rule of mine is I would have given you pre-reading, or I would give you a question before you tackle the next lecture. These are very simple questions. In fact, true or false questions is something that, that would have been at the undergraduate level. All right. Now I will move. Yesterday I mentioned to you and I gave it to you chapter 1. Today I'm going to go on to chapter 2. By the way, I move at bullet train speed. I don't take it easy. I expect you as a postgrad student, at the end of week 1, week 2, we would have finished a chapter, we would have finished 2 chapters, we would have done an assessment, we would have done practical work. Had this been face-to-face, I would have broken up my 4 lectures. One would have been contact lecture, one would have been a tutorial session, one would have been work that you'd have to do on your own, and I probably even get a tutor to assist me with that, right? Unfortunately, that's not the situation at this point in time. We have to make do with what we have. So now I'm going to share my content again. Let me try and see. Hopefully it would work properly. My PowerPoint, right. Dr. Modi, it should show you concepts in enterprise resource planning.
Yes, in fact, it is showing that. Thank you.
Great, great. Thank you very much. Okay, so this is chapter 2. Believe it or not, you would ask me what happened to chapter 1. We started it on Tuesday, Wednesday. I went through it. I took you through a journal article, and now I'm jumping into chapter 2. Believe it or not, that's how I operate. Okay, so you need to get on board with the pace of our lectures. You need to get on board in terms of how in-depth the lecture is going, and you need to get involved in terms of you as being a postgraduate student. All right. So I'm going to start with my chapter 2, and I'm also going to keep some time available for me to do a practical aspect of information technology. As promised, the banking app. We are going to play around with buying and selling shares. Believe it or not, you will come out with a skill. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. Right, just to recap again, as a teacher, as a lecturer, as a facilitator, as a postgraduate student, you need to learn about objectives. If this was a research methodology class, which you do have one, this would be what they call research objectives. You need to, or a research aim. Now, the objective here is you need to identify factors that led to the development of an ERP system. So at the end of 40 minutes or 45 minutes, you would need to have acquired this objective. So you should be able to tell me what are some of the factors that led to this ERP. Discuss the pros and cons of an ERP. What are the ongoing developments in an ERP? So an objective for our purpose is at the end of this lecture, at the end of 45 minutes, I should have covered this. If I did cover this work, then I'd probably take it on to next week, where I would finish the objectives of chapter 2. In terms of an introduction, what is an ERP? An ERP system integrates the company's operations. It acts as a company-wide, there's the word, computing environment. Now, hopefully, our computing environment that I'm going to be talking to you in the next, say, 10, 15 minutes is the standard bank app, where you are able to create a profile in order for you to actually learn how to sell and buy shares. And in my case, I'm going to talk about Forex. It includes a database that is shared by all functional areas. Again, in the Forex database standard bank app, they will have a database of all the shares and the prices of the shares and the value of the shares, and you would be able to make up a decision whether you want to buy or sell. It delivers consistent data across all business functions in real time. Ooh, this is nice, real time. Again, the business application that I'm going to show you and the business process is a foreign exchange banking app share. If you have to buy and sell shares, then you have to real time. When I say real time, you can't say, okay, the shares are now being sold at let's say 100 rand a share. I'm going to decide, yeah, I'm going to get some money from the bank, and I'm in an hour's time or 2 hours time, I'm going to place an order to buy the share. By that time, your shares would have either dropped in price or increased in price. So an ERP system is real-time functioning. Now, this morning, Dr. Murdley had mentioned to you about auditing, and he spoke to you about the history of auditing. And I wanted to include this, and I said, hey, I got to mention where it came from and why we are at this point in time. Once upon a time, if this is a story that I'm going to tell you to my 5-year-old kid, I would have said that information was, we used to work in silos. Like Mr. Murdley had mentioned earlier on, the story of the bakery. And again, Mr. Murdley, you see I'm quoting you that says that I was paying attention in your lecture this morning. I wasn't doing anything else. I listened to you. So I'm able to reference you. Similarly with the information system, once upon a time, it worked in silos. We didn't have an integration of other business processes that took place. It was only not recently, a good couple of years ago, that companies began to integrate their information systems. Because, again, if I have to use the example of the bakery that Dr. Murli had mentioned this morning, if it was just a family bakery, then they would have been just making, let's say, 20 or 30 loaves of bread a day, and maybe they would have had 5 employees. But as soon as Dr. Modi had mentioned that now they began to expand and to produce 2,000 loaves of bread a day, then they would now require supply chain management to be able to ensure that flour is being delivered on time, and that process would need to be a business model. It was involved in all that goes with it. So that's this ERP that they're talking about. So this evolution in terms of an entity resource process that took place as a system was because of our ability to have used technology. Technology, if we did not have Wi-Fi, I wouldn't be able to do this, have this lecture with you. If there wasn't a situation where you could call up the let's say your inventory and say, oh, our inventory is going down, and now I need to go and place an order for certain things, right? So because of our hardware and software technology, I'm able to now say ERP systems have evolved, and there's been a re-engineering of the way business processes are done. So again, with my business application that I'm talking about, my banking app that I need to buy and sell shares, I could not have done this had I not had an internet connection. I could not have done this had I not had a smartphone that constantly engages and tells me this is the price of stock, this is the price of shares, had I not had the technology. In terms of hardware and software development, you must remember this course is an information technology IT course. You can learn about the history of computers and all that goes with it. But just to put you in the picture, I've been in computers from 1986, when it was the first MS-DOS that took place. Now, if I had to, take you back to the times of a dial-up modem, where you would actually work at 14,400 bits per second, then you got a 56K modem, 56,000 bits per second were being transmitted. Now, we don't even talk in bits and kilobytes, megabits of the data are transferred. If you had to have a satellite connection, we're talking gigabytes. So because of the advancements in computer hardware and software technology, we were able to now come up with a system that can match our need for an ERP system. Again, this is a picture that's out here. They talk about the speed of computers and hardware. You can read on that. It's available to you. Presently, if you're buying a computer, go for the i7. Look at it in 1970, the 8086. The 80286, that's the computer that I used. If I may ask you, Dr. Mudley, you seem to be around about my age. Do you recall those 80386, 486 Pentiums?
Yes,
Dr. Mudley?
I recall the Pentiums. Before the Pentium 1 and Pentium 2, we had this old yellow black and yellow screens. The black screen with the
so
sort of the orangish yellow writing, it was terrible for the eyes and exceptionally slow. I do recall it is.
Ah, great. You've just given away your age, Dr. Modley. But that's okay, right? So let's leave that, let's let that be. Again, you can read in terms of your computer hardware and software. Now let me tell you about this thing about hardware, how dependent they are. If you want to buy a software application and you want to install SAP and Oracle, the database that goes with it, you need to ensure that your hardware is capable of dealing with what the software requirements are. Or alternatively, your software will dictate what hardware you need to use, right? Let's go and talk about this thing called a client-server architecture and database management system. Now, like I mentioned to you, this ERP system just doesn't work alone. It's not a standalone system. Long ago in the 1980s, which is not that long ago, we're talking about a client-server architecture. So the server was actually responsible for keeping all the data, and the processing capabilities of the client was dependent on how the server would operate. That was a client-server architecture. So if I could briefly use an analogy with you, I am the server, supposedly all-knowing, and you are my client, the student. You are accessing my information technology curriculum, my information technology knowledge, my information technology skill, and the way I'm setting up this course. And ultimately, you will hopefully have a transference of skill. In terms of a database management system, the way we are working right now, I would actually call it in terms of a client-server architecture. Believe it or not, my little laptop sitting out here, my i7, would have similar processing abilities as a server sitting on the DUT computer lab. All right. But again, the way I'm talking about this is not in terms of you need to define what a client-server architecture is, what a database management system is. You need to know this in order to be able to answer a question. For example, again, I'm talking hot tips for your assessment, for your exam. If I had to state that an ERP system, and in yesterday's journal article, I mentioned to you that you need to ensure that staff are trained in order to use the ERP system, then one of the components of training would be to ensure that staff are computer literate. You don't necessarily have to be able to open and fix a computer, but you need to be able to access a server in the event that you are forgotten your password or you logged out of the server, or there's a power failure and you need to restart the system. Now, if staff are frustrated with the ERP system in place and the software because they constantly have to access the server and they are unable to verify what's going on, then they will not use it. You need the buy-in from the end user. On the other extreme, if management is not there to support the staff, which is another success factor of the ERP, which is from the journal article that I had given you the day before. Anybody recalls the journal article? Mr. Naya, Temba, Mr. Kumaro, did I not give you a journal article with success factors of the ERP? One of the success factors was that management needs to ensure that they are on board with the new software that they're having. And management and senior management are also the people who would be responsible for funding this database or funding the software, funding the hardware in case. Right, again, you can go and read up in terms of the manufacturing route, the history of it, the 1960s, 1970s. That's out of interest. Finally, you got what is known as electronic data interchange, EDI. You got an interchange between computer to computer and exchange of data between the two. Now, that's what I'd like to try with this. Hopefully, if I get it working, when I'm doing a live demo, there are so many things that could happen. But I'm going to try and attempt to buy shares on this business process, this app. And I am able to do that because my computer sitting out here in Durban would exchange my instructions, my data, to buy shares, and this is global. When you're buying and selling shares, you're not talking just Durban or KZN or South Africa. You're talking on a global market. In preparing for this lecture, I was so intrigued by listening to the way foreign exchange works. The foreign exchange markets don't sleep. It's 24/7. When there's a public holiday, the day before or the day after, you'll notice shares, they either increase or they decrease. But if you are on a foreign market, you would be 24/7 in buying and selling and exchanging instructions on a business process or a business application. Right, so management's why to adopt ERP. Here we're talking about, again, your reading and your acknowledgement of this course, and the way I'm setting it up is that I don't need you to explain and tell me the history or the historical significance in why they want to adopt the ERP. Let's take for granted that we have adopted it. We need, and I'm going to give you a case study, just like Dr. Modley would give you a case study, and he spoke about it. And I'm going to find something, and within that case study, there's going to be reasons for you to either say that this ERP system would be a success or a failure, what are the challenges associated with it. And you can't just reference, oh, it's because I think, or it's anecdotal evidence that this is what I feel why it is so. In our assessment, you would need to come up with a reference or a citation that some other expert has used the system, or they've done it and they research it, and this is the reason for it. Not that I don't believe that you're an expert, but it's just that right now you are still my student in that respect. All right, so here's another one. You can talk about the management's impetus to adopting ERP. Look at the diagram. I actually want to go a little bit faster because you're going to be reading all of this, right? You're going to be reading all of this. The talk about a functional model, a process business model. We like these things. Earlier on, Dr. Modley also mentioned some theories that they spoke about. Right? How does information flow in an ERP system? I'm going to, all right. Now, I've spoken to you in terms of this app. I'm so excited. I really want to pause the video, pause my slideshow at this point in time and take you to this login page with WebTrader, and let's see if we can get you to log in and to experience a business process. And I think this is pretty important, pretty nifty. I'm not sure. Are you excited for me to go to the Standard Bank website and learn to buy and sell shares on the foreign exchange? Anybody would like me to stop the slideshow and go there, or would you like me to continue with my PowerPoint presentation? Hello? What do you say? Mr. Nair, Ms. Jagannath, Mr. Kumalo, Mr. Hadere?
So you're breaking. Couldn't hear you. What you're saying?
Oh, would you like me to continue with my PowerPoint presentation, or would you like me to go and give you an experience of playing around with the business process of buying and selling shares on the foreign exchange?
Why don't we do the business process, because aren't we supposed to read the notes, the PowerPoints ourselves? So why don't you give us the...
Yes, I agree. Dr. Modley, what do you think? Dr. Modley, you're my program coordinator. Can I do something practical with them?
Yes, please. I'm very keen on checking how you're going to buy shares. It's one of the things that always interested me. So if you're doing that as a practical...
Oh, thank you very much, Dr. Modley. Let's go and see now. Dr. Modley agrees with me. He says he wants to do that. I'm so happy he said that. I was worried maybe you'll say that you don't want to do that. All righty, let's go to my, let me go and share content. Let's go to, right. Let's see. So now I'm at, you're going to come, Dr. Modley, you should see something called setup complete, take the tour, enter, view your account.
Yes, essentially what's coming through. Thank you.
Okay, great. So prior to that, you would have had to come to the webtrader.standardbank.co.za. I'll just show you where I'd like you to play around with this. If you go to there's my Standard Bank, right? Standard Bank. So I want you, this is a demo account. You don't worry, you're not going to buy and lose money or anything of that sort. I tried it, I was playing around with it for some time. So you go to the standardbank.co.za website, you go to WebTrader. Let it open up a little bit. Now again, can you see in my notes, I told you that there's an exchange of information between computers. I could not have done it had I not had internet capability, there weren't a server for me to access, there weren't this knowledge, right? So my user ID, I don't know whether I should tell you this or not. I'm going to go into, let's try, Dr. Modley said he wants or let's say Mr. Hadebe. Right, there we go. I'm going to create an account. Mr. Hadebe, would you like to create your account? Mr. Kamalo? Right, so let's go ahead, let's create your account. Name, Mr. Hadebe?
Suppose this. SBU, not the I. SBU SISO.
SBU SISO. Sibusiso. Surname?
Yes.
HAD
EBE.
Phone number?
079.
Sorry. Is that correct? Your surname is correct. HADEBE.
Yes, sir, yes.
Your phone number?
079 69 05356.
Right. Your email address?
Sbuhateve98 at, oh no, let's use the, oh yeah, let me use my email. Yeah, Sbuhateve. I'll use my email.
Spell that SBU.
Yes, Hateve.
HADEBE. Yes, Mr. Hadebe. Hello.
Yes, sir, I'm still here.
Okay, doesn't matter. Mr. Hadebe, would you be able to complete this on your own?
Yes,
Mr. Hadebe?
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
sir.
So if Mr. Hadebe had completed that on his own, like I had done, I had completed and filled in all the forms, then I'm going to go straight into my account now, right? I could, once Mr. Hadebe does that and he gets his username and password, he would enter that in and he would come to WebTrader. So let's go and view my account. Or if I want to learn about it, I could have taken the tour. Now, again, can you see this business application that I'm doing, a process? You could call it trading online. I'm actually trading. I'm doing an online trading of shares. And again, here's a disclaimer. I'm teaching you information technology. I was facilitating the course in Information Technology 5. I am talking about ERP system, and I'm talking about business applications and business processes. And here I am trying to buy and sell shares. My disclaimer is, if you take this up and you go ahead and buy and sell and you lose, please don't hold me responsible, okay? That was a joke, right? I miss having seen students face to face. Dr. Mudley is my witness that you cannot hold me liable for your losses on the stock market. All right. By the way, a hot tip, I want to get involved with Bitcoin. Anybody's interested in that, we need to research that process. All right, so let's go on. Let's go and enter the platform and start trading. Now, you know, I told you about your business processes taking place on in real time. This is the real time taking place. It's been last updated 1:45 p.m. Let me look at my time on my cell phone. Yes, it's 1:45 p.m. This is what you can buy and this is what you can sell your shares at, right? Here's the business, here's the, let me go try and take it a little bit lower, right? So I just decided to choose, what am I choosing? I said Forex. If you look at the bottom of my demo account, I have 100,000. I'd like to think it's dollars, but it's actually rands. I think that's available to me to buy and sell, right? The cash available is 100,000. My account value is 100,000. My margin available is 100,000. I've utilized 0.00%. Mr. Hadebe, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir. I'm here.
Great, Mr. Hadebe. When you complete creating your account, you will have something just like the way I have out here. I don't want to show you my other demo account because I lost my money out there, right? So you could trade and buy and sell stock or foreign exchange. I just chose foreign exchange at this point in time. But what I wanted to show you was the real-time trading that's occurring in this business process so that you can identify with the theory in the PowerPoint presentation and you can see practically what's happening out here. All right. So in terms of my lecture time period, it's now 13:46. I know you had a long day. I want to leave you at this point in time in terms of playing around with WebTrader, having your demo account, going through the, when I call it the tour, take the tour, learn in terms of how and what it is, and maybe one day, one of you may say, hey, I became rich because I sat in on an information technology lecture. My lecturer taught me about an ER. He was telling me about the ERP system. He was talking about business processes. He sparked an interest in me in terms of buying and selling shares. He introduced me to the Standard Bank website where they have a demonstration for WebTrader. It sparked my interest. What is this thing called Dow Jones? What does it mean in terms of the euro and dollar? How do I trade? How do I buy and sell? Right? So right now I want to trade. I want to do it. I want to pretend I want to buy and sell something. That's where I'm going to pretend and don't worry. It's 100,000 not coming out of my pocket. It's a demo account. But if it was your pocket and you are using it and you went and created your account and you lose money, my disclaimer stands, right? So what do I want to buy? How much, what I want to buy, I want to spend, let me go and buy something. Quick trade, let's do a quick trade, play around with it. And I'm buying, it's selling at that point. I need to put my glasses on. And I'm going to place my order now, right? I'm placing my order. What am I buying? I'm buying for 140 cost within, what's my cost? Not, and I'm confirming it. Let's play around with it, right? I don't know what the value, what's going to happen. So I placed my order. When is my, what's my value? I placed the order, I bought it. See what happened to my account. This is what happened to my cash value. There's my account value, and all that goes with it. What I'm telling you is this is all happening in real time. Has this been a demo account, had this been a real business process application, I could have either made money or I could have lost money, right? Now, again, my disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a stockbroker. I am a lecturer teaching information technology, teaching a particular aspect in ERP processes, touching on business processes. And one of the aspects they talked about was being able to see real-time applications, real-time live business processes taking place. And that's what I hope to have achieved in this objective. So at the beginning of this lecture, one of the objectives was to talk about gaining employment. I took you to the pnet.co.za site. I'd like it if all of you can register out there. I already heard that Mr. Naya has a profile on PNet. I took you through to the theory behind our work, our curriculum, our subject matter, our syllabus, which is the evolution of ERPs. I spoke to you and I told you about how once upon a time the business process was in working in silos, and I even included a little aspect of Dr. Mudley's lecture. We used the example of the bakery. Then I continued with my PowerPoint presentation of chapter 2. I also touched on yesterday's lecture, and I've given you a live demo of a WebTrader account. All right. With that, do you have any questions, queries for me? It's a long weekend. After this lecture, I will give you the opportunity to start your weekend. Anybody with a question or a comment? Mr. Hadebe, are you going to complete your registration?
Yes, I have questions. So after reading the journal, so you want us to have like findings on the journals?
Yes. If you listen to my first video at about 1 o'clock today, I played the video of a research journal.
Yeah, watch the video.
You watched it, good. On Wednesday, I uploaded the journal article on the chat.
Yeah, yes, I saw it.
Good. Now, this is what I want you to do. I'm giving you an algorithm. Listen to the video, the questions that they are asking you, read the journal article with a critical mind.
Okay.
Then you make points in terms of the article. What is the article stating? The key factors, the challenges to ERPs, the success factors to an ERP. Yes, I know it's an old journal. It's from 2001, but I found that to be covering the points in our curriculum.
So it's the journal from 2001.
Yes, the journal is from 2001.
Then I don't have that journal, so I have a journal which says enhancing ERP learning outcome.
All right, that one was by Murray. Okay, send me an email, drop me an email, I'll reply to you.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadebe, for your question. Do you have any more questions?
No.
My question to you, Mr. Hadebe, would you continue with the registration for your Standard Bank WebTrader account?
Yeah, I'm going there now.
Excellent, excellent. Tell me if you make any money, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I just lost about 4,000 rands.
All right.
I'm just looking at my live trading that's taking place. Thank you very much, Mr. Hadebe. Anybody else? Comment or a question? We've got a minute or so. Dr. Bodley, our program coordinator. Thank you for attending. And
it's a pleasure. I just have a question to some of the students.
Yes.
I put an announcement this morning on the internal audit chat room on Moodle.
Yes.
I see I received that announcement on my email. I just want to check if any of the other students received that announcement on the email as well. Anybody? Clinton, Atlanta? Nobody received it on the email. So it's coming to me, but it isn't